Just start. This is like my 50th plus take of getting this introduction recorded, and you just gotta start. Like, I was sitting here looking at this camera for way too long without pressing record, not knowing if the first time I do it, it's gonna be like the worst thing I ever put out, like the worst thing I ever recorded. It sucked. It sucked really bad. But I never would have known that had I not started. What you're about to see is a conversation I had with my friend Dylan Green. He's a graphic designer from Amarillo, and he's doing what I want to do. I've been working on my kind of graphic design skills for like just over uh, three 3 years now, and um, God, it's so much better than where it was, but there's so much further that I need to go. Um, this was a conversation I had for myself. This conversation was something I needed to do for myself. And I just asked a lot of questions that I thought were interesting, things that I needed to know myself, and things that helped me kind of prompt myself into action. If this helps you in any way, then I'm really glad to hear that. Um, I'm looking to do more of these with other people and by myself, kind of documenting my journey and figuring this thing out because it's been too long trying to get this thing to where I wanted to go. And hopefully that this conversation source will serve as a source of like a benchmark for accountability and keeping me on track to this thing because I'll see myself doing it and I'll know, whether this is something I'm really putting my all into. So, yeah, I mean, I guess everybody's gonna see this with me, but be vulnerable, man. Ask a lot of questions. Go where you want to go. Go where you want to go. And it's kind of uncomfortable saying that for me, but I mean, what else are you gonna do? You gonna sit around and feel sorry for yourself? I don't know, man. Figure it out. Figure it out. Just start. Cool. I think it's going. Awesome. Dylan Green, how you doing, man?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Not too bad, not too bad. So I just had a few questions for you. This is super impromptu, super kind of like I'm not trying to make this like a very head down kind of rigid kind of conversation. I just had a few questions because I'm trying to really make this my life. This is kind of my goal
Mhm.
right now, is kind of dive into this and really make this my thing. I've been dealing with some kind of problems with um, kind of making this my thing.
Yeah.
So I thought who better to talk to than somebody who like I actively see on my feed, like someone who's actually doing this.
Yeah.
So I don't know, just a few things. Like I guess I've never really talked to you specifically, but I know you know Jordan. Like I worked with Jordan for a little bit at Walmart, and
Yeah.
he kind of put me on to a few things that you guys are kind of on and stuff. And so I think one of the first times like I was like kind of put onto your work was we were probably working at Walmart at some point, and I saw some stuff like, oh, this is cool. And then I remember at some point when I was like just like doing like my thing, I live my life, I got a follow from you. I was like, dude, this is actually so cool. Like this is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
It's really cool to like you have even a inkling of interest in like what like I post or something. That's cool to me. So it's really awesome. Um, but yeah, so ever since then, I think I've been like kind of off and on with different projects, things that I wanted to do. At one point, I really wanted to make like a cartoon, and that kind of fell through. That didn't really work out. Bunch of different things fell through, but so like, but it's all led me to here, I guess. It's all led me to here. I've still remained like really attracted to um, I don't know, design in general. I think it's a beautiful kind of thing. Um, and so now I thought, yeah, so let's ask the guy who's like on my feed. Let's see what he's up to. And I'm really glad, like, thank you for taking some time and this afternoon or this evening to talk with me, man.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I didn't expect. I mean, I don't do much, much like just, interviews for fun or podcasts or anything. So I think that's that's a super cool opportunity, and I think it's good that you're doing it and reaching out to people, you know, because like yeah, I think that's how I've learned the most is just by talking to people, you know, who are doing it,
Yeah.
um, who are, you know, like crazy talented. Yeah. And so yeah.
So yeah, exactly. So I was thinking like what type of moments would have been like the best kind of moments. Like, let me just put myself out there. If he accepts no or ignores me, then I mean, fuck it, I tried, right? So I guess I have a few questions for you, kind of looking over some of your work, and that's the crazy that's what it is, right? Like I think you're crazy talented, and I'm really trying to reach for that level. Um, I was like, just I don't know if these are gonna like come to the top of your head when I just talk to you about them, but maybe they will. So like the Running Man thing that you did, like not I'm trying to figure out animation right now. That's one of my things, and I'm wondering like what kind of brought you into that? Like how were you? What? How does this go into your mind? Like I'm gonna make this. Is this like something like you kind of think about on the spot? Is this something like you're like planning to do, or is this like can you talk about any of that stuff?
Yeah. So the Running Man in particular, that was actually an assignment for an animation one class I was taking at WT. So not too original as far as like the actual like concept goes, but yeah, that was like I think the first project for that class is it's based off of like this series of images that's from like the 1800s called The Running Man by this guy named Edward Muybridge. And he was like the first person to like use photography to capture motion, you know? So like early filmmaker even, but it's you know, he would like do these, you know, photos, still series photos, like it wasn't, you know, video yet. It was just photos of, you know, like horses and people running and you know, different animals to like observe how they move in motion by, you know, just analyzing these still frames. And so that was I think the first assignment in that class was to take those images and like, you know, rotoscope them, trace them, put some sort of, you know, unique spin on those images and then put them together and you have, you know, the like, you know, basics of animation. It was like 16 frames or something
Hmm.
and you know, just by making those images you have motion and you have movement. Um and so mine was I wanted to kind of give it kind of like a spray paint, like stenciled effect.
Like
Um,
that, yeah.
Yeah, and I um this was they like rented out iPads to everybody in the program and I'd never, you know, used an iPad or anything before. I've used like drawing tablets, but like Apple's just like really, you know, gotten good with like the Apple Pencil and like Procreate is also a program that
Hmm.
I know a lot of people, a lot of illustrators and a lot of designers like swear by that I had never used it before. And I used Procreate, you know, and the iPad to draw all those frames and like, you know, mask out areas, give them texture. I mean, I think it's just like, you know, white and black and then the background. Like it's really simple each frame, but when it's in motion, you see how the light, you know, responds um, to each frame differently, and it gives it this cool effect. So that, yeah, was not entirely like, you know, just off the dome original. That's definitely a very derivative work, you know, project, you know, academic type thing for school, but like um it was fun to put together and like, you know, give my own spin on it, you know, and everybody else, you know, everybody came up with their own, you know, whether they cut out stuff, collaged it, whether they, like added stuff on top of it, to create, a different character than just the running man. Um, so yeah, that was animation class.
So like this is like giving me like so like you said that this was like from like the first guy who was doing this kind of thing, right? Is that what you said? And
Yeah,
I didn't get the name, but this I was about to say this is like very reminiscent of the video I guess the series of stills of that loop into like a video animation style like I see like seen a Nope, I guess, like when they're kind of presenting the horses for the first time, like the horses running. It seems something like that. It looked
yeah,
really cool. I like it. It is simple like you said, but it doesn't do too much, but like it works for me. I'm a big fan of this. This looks cool. I'm not the biggest like I don't have a good vocabulary for this type of stuff. I took an art course, like gods and heroes and Roman and Greek art, I guess, in college. I was a bio major.
yeah.
So like I don't have like, and I took that and like really honest to God, like I think all my essays back to the professor were really just like contrast and vibrant colors and but I I can see when I think I see something cool and I can point that out, and this looks really
Yeah.
cool to me. I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
So in terms of like it being not a super original like kind of idea, that's I get that, but it still works in a different way than other stuff that I've seen, and I like it a lot. Um, Something that does look like to be like more of an original kind of thing is like you working on cover arts, and that's like one of my big goals, honestly. It's like
Yeah.
I'll think I that's one of my key steps to this thing to like making this my life. Like I want to design cover arts for people, and I think it takes like a big kind of a big part of like risk and kind of trust with the designers and musicians, and that's something I really want to work towards. Specifically, the one I'm looking at the most, honestly, was the Holloway Joe one. I don't know if that's the title of it, but it's the one with
Hmm.
kind of collage kind of cutout pieces, and I think that looks really cool. I liked it as well. I love vibrant colors against like muted backgrounds, and against the white, it works really well, I think.
Thank
How do you get to like get in contact with like a creative, like a group and band, a musician, and like kind of get their trust to kind of represent their work faithfully, I guess, throughout the art? Because I think it's a huge. I'm such a big fan of cover art. I think
you.
for me it makes or breaks the piece, honestly. So how do you go about making that kind of like, hey, I can do this for you, or something like that? How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. I really love, album packaging, album layouts, album covers. I've got way too many vinyl records. Like,
Yeah.
and spend entirely too much money on that. And yeah, I think that's probably one of the big things that got me into graphic design is appreciating that art and that, thought that goes into album packaging and like wanting to make my mark on that world. I know it's a dream that a lot of people have. But like, people do it. It's a job. And so that's what keeps me motivated to keep pursuing that. And like, yeah, my dream job would be someday to work, for a record label and, work in-house doing the album layouts and stuff. But right now, mostly it's all just on a freelance basis, for independent musicians. That particular one, the Holloway Joe one, that was, I mean, that whole thing is for me getting pretty lucky. Um, I I was in like um a Discord server for this band called Ozma that I'm a huge fan of. They've toured with like Weezer before and a bunch of kind of alternative bands in that circle. And I was just in that server and I would make, like fan edits and like, reimaginings of album covers. And like, very fortunately, it got in front of the actual members of the band, and somebody sent it to them and they really liked it. and they brought me on to do some a series of like live album covers. So they were going through their old recordings of live performances and releasing them as albums, like on Bandcamp. And they wanted just like a system, of uh, album covers they could use, where it's the same design, but like the colors are switched out. Um, and so I ended up doing two album covers for them, for Ozma, and the vocalist and guitarist and bassist for Ozma. His name is Daniel Brummel, and he kind of became a very close collaborator for me. That was all back in like 2021, and so for the past 3 or 4 years, I've done a lot of work for him for his like solo projects, and that's the Holloway Joe thing is for a band called Sanglorians that he is the front man of. And so a lot of like cool work and cool collaborations has come just from knowing Daniel. And I was very lucky to get to go to an Ozma show. It was like their first in 5 years in December, and go visit LA and hang out with Daniel, in person for the first time. And
Oh,
we
sick.
yeah, and we collaborated on he put out a Christmas album with Singlorians, and I think that's somewhere it's like a cassette tape on my Instagram page, and we worked on that art together. Yeah, I mean, just very lucky, unexpected connection. And I'm fortunate that that's, happened more than once. Like I've been a fan of a musician, and somehow my work gets in front of them, and they've hired me to do a project. Um, Same thing happened with a guy named Adam Demersion, who was in a band called The Brave Little Abacus, and he's now in a band called Me and Capri's. And like, these are not like the biggest bands in the world, like most household names, but they're it's music I actually listen to and enjoy, and I think will stand the test of time. And so I'm happy to have had that opportunity, because yeah, I don't really pitch myself cold open to musicians a lot. Like it's been very fortunate that I've just been in the same spaces as them, and my art has been shared with them through Instagram or some other means. I don't know.
That's an amazing feeling, man. I can't imagine, honestly. That's like I said, a goal of mine. But to be able to, yeah, I mean, you always wonder. I mean, I always wonder for sure, like how many circles away am I from actually being able to do something that I want to do? Like, how cool would that be? And it just so happens that,
Yeah.
a lot of, a lot of effort, a lot of like, a lot of time, and some good luck, and you can end up doing a lot of cool things. That's super awesome, man.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So like that's what I hear is like a lot of this is just getting being in the right space, the right time, and having the work kind of to show up behind it and be like, yeah, kind of say, hey, this is what I'm doing. And
Hmm.
for even to be able to get like a reference like that, that's like kind of put in front of them and see like that's an amazing feeling. Even whenever someone like I don't know, someone like likes my post or like repost it or something like that, that's like the coolest thing ever to me. It's like
Yeah.
oh, like I spent time doing this. Like it doesn't take much to repost it, but it's cool that you did. Like and
Yeah.
now maybe somebody else sees it, somebody else could use it and get a few more followers, and maybe like I can like do something like a little more up the chain next time I do something. I don't know. Like it's just cool that I think the way it works.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the, kind of Amarillo area really has a lot of like super talented artists and musicians, and like w way more of an art scene than anyone would expect from a city like Amarillo. And yeah, I enjoy sharing other people's stuff, and like, you know, talking with people, collaborating with them. Yeah, I'm just amazed by how many talented people are here in town, and I'm huge fans of of their work and stuff. And so yeah, it's same deal with me. Anytime somebody shares my stuff, I really appreciate it because it shows that, you know, they think it's cool and, you know,
That's
a
all I'm looking for.
little bit of
Yeah,
an ego boost. Yeah, you know,
yeah.
and like it's yeah, it's putting it in front of a wider audience of people, you know, and that's how you get work, you know.
Yeah, that's how you get somewhere. And yeah, awesome, man. I was like looking through some of your work, and I remember like going through some of the captions. I think um one of them mentioned like Andy Warhol being a big like or at least like somewhat of an inspiration at some point. Like, how do you think would you say he's like top of the list, or would you say middle of the pack? Like, how do you go about kind of identifying who's in? I guess it's all relative to me, anyways. Like, there are moments for sure where you're like, this is kind of how it's going, and I'm kind of drawing from this more than other things for sure. But do you think that like there's like you're pulling from one source more than others, or do you think it's more of like this is what it is at the moment, and this is what like it's become, I guess. If that's a good question, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, if you're making work, you know, if you're making art or anything, you're just constantly drawing off of, you know, everything you've ever seen, every, you know, experience you've had. Like it's all in there in some little way. Um I don't know if Andy Warhol's like top of the list, but
Fair,
I
fair enough.
definitely, you know, appreciate his work. Just with, you know, how he uses printmaking and like simplifies colors down, you know. But yeah, he's, you know, a big character in art history, I guess.
For sure, yeah.
Um, yeah, I think lately on the whole, I'm very into like collage and like hand drawn, handwritten elements, texture, you know, like I'm very into stuff that's like imperfect, you know, that like has, you know, shows its flaws, that organized but like organized chaos, you know.
Yeah, I see that. I see that on your work, and I totally agree with you, honestly. I used to think that like the perfect shapes were the perfect shapes for a reason, and that's why we do them. But I think there's a lot to say like about texture and a lot to say about like the flaws that there are in like different mediums and stuff.
Yeah.
How do you go about like how do you go about like I guess you kind of mentioned how you would go about texture, but in terms of like drawing stuff, like how does that kind of like um manifest itself in the stuff you do? Like, how do you not to ask like how much time you put into it, but like there's a steep learning curve like I'm seeing when it comes to like drawing stuff out, and I'm really learning that as I'm trying to draw stuff, and it's just not
Yeah.
working, I guess. How do you really kind of go about like keeping on with that, I guess, whenever you're dealing with that?
Yeah. Um, I guess with drawing at least, I've had a lot of practice. I mean, I've been drawing, you know, since I was a kid. I mean, that was my whole deal in high school was the, you know, being the art kid or whatever, and just constantly drawing and trying to get better. And it's like now I look back at that stuff and it's like, you know, you're constantly improving, you know. And so I thought I was so good in high school, you know, and then in college I, you know, like got, you know, better just from like well from taking classes, you know, and like just practicing a lot, sketching a lot. So I don't know. I think people um think that it's like, you know, hard and you gotta like devote your life and take all these classes to get better at drawing, but I think it's just something you have to practice, just, you know, observing nature and drawing it and just learning that you know, how to translate something that's in front of you to you know, a piece of paper. I think anybody can do it with a lot of practice. Um, but I don't know, even in like specifically in like design, I don't think you have to be the best, like most skilled, draftsman, or be the best at drawing or whatever. Um, because it's a lot more like shape based and like getting down layouts really quickly, you know. Like if I have to like design like a book, with a bunch of layouts, I will. I'll just draw little like 2-inch squares on a sheet of paper and just like fill them out with, squiggly lines where text is going to be and like a picture is going to be here, and like you can just super quickly come up with layouts that way. And it I think it's a lot easier to translate an idea to paper and then make it, in Photoshop and Illustrator later than it is to just stare at like the blank computer
The blank page,
screen
yeah, it's
with
intimidating.
nothing. Yeah, I mean it's too, there's like this pressure to like commit or whatever. Yeah, I think sketching is, sometimes I skip it, if I'm doing like a logo or something, I will skip the sketching phase, which is not good because it's so useful to just get
Hmm.
ideas down and not like um stress about it, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's an essential tool, but like for design specifically, you don't have to be, amazing at it. I mean, I'm not great at just drawing something, uh freehand. It's like, I have to like get back in the groove of it, and like
Hmm.
practice before I can, just draw with ease, I guess.
Yeah, it's I get that. I get that. And I'm sure, like I said, I gotta give it some more time because it's like I my kind of go-to thing is I kind of just take pictures of like what I'm around. If I think it's cool, I'll go back to it eventually, throw it up on
Yeah.
Photoshop and see just mess with it till it looks toward somewhere I like. And I think kind of like the planning thing with sketching would be super helpful, like kind of getting more concrete ideas out and maybe going after ideas that I really kind of want to go. Just from a
Yeah.
personal perspective, I guess like an art perspective. But I mean, you've definitely alluded to it like right now, but like I know that um, art as like a form of expression and designing a product are two very different things.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that like you have a good grasp on both. Like how do you think what do you think has been like the more challenging part of like picking up the kind of design part of it? Because that's also been like somewhere where I'm also equally interested in, I guess.
Yeah. I guess the most challenging part of uh the design side of that spectrum is just like I don't know, there's a lot of, rules of design, which I think sometimes can be like overly prescriptive, you have to do things this way and this is the correct way, but um I think it's good to know those rules and to know like a lot of, design concepts and theory, like hierarchy, what do people look at first, and like it's all stuff that like even after, going to college for design for 4 years, I still sometimes have to like consciously think about or be reminded, of the little technical things that like that make stuff easier to read, that make stuff, like more organized or visually balanced or whatever. So there is a lot of like technical components to it, whereas art is more free to do what you want. But I think a lot of the design principles apply to art, and a lot of the art principles apply to design. I think they're it's like a shared language. Um, but yeah, I guess just striking a balance between like making something that's unique and different than what's already out there in the world, which isn't always, possible to make something completely new every time. Um, but also like maintaining those rules of like legibility and readability and you know making sure that your work is like accessible to people, you know.
Sure. Yeah. It's it's yeah, it seems like some like I said, some basic kind of principles apply both. They're kind of like
Mhm.
transitive isn't the right word. But you know, they're kind of
I
like
think,
interchangeable, I guess maybe.
yeah, yeah,
Um and it's I don't know, it's a lot to kind of it's a lot to hope for. It's to be hopeful for, I guess, in terms of like trying to make this thing work. Yeah, man, because I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm just trying to figure it out and like not trying to rush the process, but trying to get on it, you know? I feel like I've spent some time trying to like some wasted time trying to figure out other things, but I think this is truly where my attention lies right now. So
yeah.
yeah, I in terms of everything, like Zoom is telling me I got like 8 minutes left. I'm not trying to kick you off. Like I definitely want to talk some more at some
Good.
point.
Yeah.
Um if you're I
We,
mean,
I think we can restart the meeting if we need to,
okay,
if it
cool.
if
Kicks
it
off.
kicks us off. That'd
Okay,
be
cool.
yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Um yeah, I guess um I yeah, I mean, I just super glad you could like even like take some time for me, honestly. I think that I want to like I've been I guess searching throughout my time in the past couple of years on things at how to get better at this. And so my things have been just gonna get reps in, just get reps in, just like kind of get in front of a thing and put up what I can and see what I can make out of it.
Yeah.
And it's been a challenge in and of itself, but um you know, I think that one of the like I was like I found like this one kind of Instagram account or YouTube account, whatever. It's some dude who's like in New York, I guess, and he's kind of like an art professor. And he's just talking about just like kind of mimicking stuff and things like that. And so
Hmm.
I definitely want to like try to at some point um I don't know, work on duplicating, replicating something along the lines of like what you're working on, I guess, and maybe you can get back to me like whether like any pointers or something like that. That'd be super awesome.
Yeah.
Um, and like likewise, dude, I'm in Dallas right now, so if you're ever in
Mhm.
Dallas, bro, I'd love to just we could go out for like a beer or something, hang out,
Sure.
or like I don't know. I saw there's like some other stuff out. Like there's like you're it seems like you come here semi frequently to like or like for kind of stuff. I'm not trying to like force you
Mhm.
to
No, you're
commit to anything
good.
right now over a
Yeah.
conversation. I'm just saying if you're ever
Yeah.
interested,
I'm
I'd
in
be
I'm in
down for
Dallas
sure.
sometimes.
Cool, cool, man,
Yeah.
cool,
I
cool,
might be there next month. I'll let you know.
awesome. That'd be cool. I'm trying to like get into the scene, so
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
How's it going at like because I saw you're also working at like a design studio or a design agency, marketing agencies, like because
Yeah.
you got your addy, you got your addies, right?
Yes.
How's that feel?
Good. It felt good. Yeah. I had won some student addies before with WT. They have a certain the design program has a certain budget that they set aside to enter stuff into the local addies. And so I had won some stuff in the student category before. But this is the first time having stuff in the professional category with Studio Numa, which is the design studio work for. Yeah, I through the Addies actually, the student ones, I met an alumni from WT called his name is Jarrett Johnston, and he's just super talented, makes incredibly cool stuff, and he agreed to do an internship with me. And I've been working there for almost a year now, and just I get to do so much work that I wouldn't have gotten otherwise, in industries that I don't really um, have a foothold in. And there's a lot of fun stuff. I mean, there's logos, there's like physical print layout design and stuff. And you know, web design. Like there's a lot of different things that I get to like hone my skills on with actual clients, which is nice because you know, ultimately they know what they want, you know, and you have to make that thing for them, which is good practice. Yeah, so I got um, two addies for a brochure we made for the city of Denton. Yeah, and I was super stoked about that. That was like one of the projects that I was kind of taking the lead on. And so yeah, got to keep my addies, keep my trophies,
Awesome.
which was very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. That's probably a great feeling. That's awesome. Aside from like, I guess work, I don't want to make you talk about work. Um, but like what, in terms of like, I guess, artistic kind of aspirations, do you have anything like like I said, I'm working on making this kind of series with artists and stuff right now,
Mhm.
and it's taking fucking everything. It's taking a lot of like mental
Yeah,
headspace, a lot of like I'm exhausted. And this is just episode one. This is episode one.
right.
So like we're gonna see how long I can push this thing. But do you have
Yeah.
like anything you really like want to work on? Anything I can help you out on? Anything?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I love working with musicians, you know, and in any creative project really. I like working with other creative people, making stuff. Th those are always my favorite projects is when somebody has, you know, a vision that they want help, you know, making into a reality. So, yeah, if there's any projects of that nature you'd like to work on together, you can send my way. I'd love to. Yeah.
Awesome, man. I appreciate your time, man. And
Yeah.
I won't take up any more of your time.
Yeah.
I gotta get some other stuff done as well. I gotta
Yeah.
figure out whether how I'm gonna edit this thing,
Yeah.
how it's gonna go, where it's gonna go. We're gonna figure it
Right.
out. But it's been great talking to you, man. And of course, I'd love to collab with you at some point.
Yeah.
I'll figure out how this goes and figure out what we can do. I appreciate your time, man. I'm
Yeah,
gonna turn it.
absolutely. Yeah, good talking to you, man. You're doing super cool stuff as well. I love the like you did like Sad Mag, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That was the magazine thing you did. I think that's super cool. I love like publications and zines and stuff. And yeah, like it's so much work to put out like a series, you know. It's easy to do something once, but like when you got to do it like over and over, it's so much. I definitely feel that struggle. But
Yeah.
yeah, you're doing cool stuff, man. I'm a big fan.
I appreciate
So
it, man. Thank you. Of
yeah, yeah. Thank you for having me on.
course, of course. All right, just watch that back. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you're still watching this, and I hope it helped you out in any kind of way at all. If it pushes you forward, follow that feeling, man. Keep going, and I'll see you there whenever we get there, man. In the meantime, next week I think I'm gonna do a one with just me. It'll be my thoughts, kind of like a video version of my blog post. Just some thoughts, you know. Might be just some thoughts. I don't know. And if you're not following my blog, please go check that out. Subscribe and yeah, subscribe on here. I mean, whatever. If it helps, it helps, man. I really hope it does. Um, yeah, man. See you guys later. Thanks for checking me out.